Hey, Christian.
Hello.
Welcome to Asian Business Owners.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you here. Actually, we are at La Favorita, and it's not a coincidence because you're the CEO of Pirata Group.
Yep.
And La Favorita is a restaurant of this group. So for the people who don't know Pirata, it's a homegrown F&B group owning 26 restaurants, mainly in Hong Kong. And it was founded 10 years ago by two co-founders. Pirata is focused on unconditional hospitality to provide the best experience to the customers. And we can feel, even here, the atmosphere and the love for good food and friendly atmosphere. So my first question is, what's your relationship to food? What place food has in your life? Because you're Italian. Maybe it's not the cliche, to say that Italian love food, but what is it? What is your relationship to food?
Sure. Well, thank you for the welcome. Very nice to be here. Very nice to meet you. 10 years, absolutely, right on the money. In fact, this year is our 10th anniversary, right in September. So coming up very quickly, a very 10th anniversary. My relationship to food is obviously, I guess, like every other Italian, we like food. We like to eat. We like to enjoy good things in life or good things when it comes to food. Mine perhaps is a little bit different from most Italians, as in my mom was not a very good cook. So contrary to perhaps the cliche, my mom was not a very good cook. So I had to learn to cook myself quite early on if I wanted to have a good meal. So I cooked for my sister and I from an age of about 8-9 years old. I started making
so
simple
very
things.
young.
Yeah, very young. And then obviously I started looking into recipes and how to make tiramisu at about 9 years old. So we were doing tiramisu afternoons and eating a kilo of tiramisu between the two of us. So perhaps not the most healthy start, but that was the approach to food.
Very good memories, though. Okay, so you were saying it'll be the 10th anniversary of Pirata, and you've been there since the beginning.
Yes.
So you're founding members
Yes.
of the group.
Yes.
So you've went through many different cycles.
Yes.
In 10 years, a lot of things happened.
Yes.
But more recently, well, in 2019, there was the protests here in Hong
Yes.
Kong, which was a very difficult time.
Sure.
And then very soon after, there was COVID for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it had, difficult consequences, especially in the F&B industry.
That's right.
And you had different roles also throughout the years.
Yes.
You were co-CEO, board member.
Yes.
Now you're CEO.
Yes.
And you were in Singapore, and now you're back in Hong Kong.
Correct.
So it's a broad question, but so many things happen in 10
Yes.
years. Can you tell me about a time that you really remember that you won't forget, and it can be, positive or challenging times?
Sure. Out of my tenure in Pirata Group, well, I think the most important was when we actually found the site of Pirata Restaurant, which is our first restaurant. And that is because it was very challenging times. And although people remember when we opened the restaurant, a lot of people don't know the struggle to get to that point. When Manuel, my co-founder partner, and I decided that we wanted to build a restaurant together, to when we actually opened the doors, it was almost 1 year. So
Okay.
there was, although the restaurant has been around for 10 years, we've been at it with this project for 11. We were on our third site so basically on Saturday morning, we were due to sign the contract for a site in Hong Kong. And unfortunately, that Wednesday, my grandfather passed away.
Oh.
And so basically, I had to go back to Italy for the funeral. So I left the check with Manuel, my partner, and the intention of signing the lease on Saturday morning. So I took the flight on Friday night. I landed in Milan on Saturday morning. So as I turned on the phone, it turned out that we lost the site. I just couldn't believe it. So when I called Manuel and tried to understand what was going on, he basically told me that the landlord was playing two sides, never telling us about it. So basically, it took the first check that came in the morning, and which was another party. So we lost the site. And this was, mind you, this was our third site that we lost. So it was a bit of desperation. My partner basically told me he was ready to pull the plug, and he told me, look, we've been at it for a long time. We don't seem to be able to find a place. This business doesn't seem to be able to take off. Maybe we should give up. And I remember distinctively thinking, no way, we're not going to give up, because we have spent way too much time, way too much effort. I cannot believe in all of Hong Kong there is not a site for us. And sure enough, 24 hours later, he called me and he said, I might actually found the right site. I was walking down Wan Chai in NSC Road, and I saw a for lease sign. I walked into the building. They showed me the spaces, exactly what we're looking for. And mind you, when we're looking for a site, we were looking for 1,000 square foot at the ground floor, and we ended up with a 3,000 square foot on top of a building in Wan Chai. So it was completely the opposite of what we were looking for, but it was good enough. And so I arrived in Hong Kong. First thing I did was dropping my suitcase at home and went straight to see the site, and loved it. 2 days later, we were there, first thing in the morning at the landlord's office with check in hand, and ready to sign it. So that to me was probably the most memorable, because it marked the difference between a dream, a possibility, and actuality. Now is real. Now the money is paid. Now we need to deliver. Now we need to make it happen.
It's also proved your determination, because when you do something like that, you gotta be persistent.
Sure. This particular case, yes. I mean, there are other times that my partner was the determined one. So that's a good thing. That's a good sign of a partnership. Is lifting each other up and keeping each other motivated. And we've been there for each other, and it's been a great partnership so far.
And what about because I know the F&B scene, the restaurant scene in Hong Kong is pretty challenging. What I mean by that, for the people who are not in Hong Kong, is that from what I saw, the restaurants here, either you succeed quickly or you fail quickly. And every month you can see restaurants opening doors and closing down. Also, the rents are super expensive. The cost as well, because we import a lot of stuff, especially for Italian and Spanish and Mediterranean food. So so many restaurants fail, and you've been here for 10 years. So what's the secret sauce?
Okay. Well, first of all, to talk about Hong Kong being difficult, I think every country has its challenges, whether it's, low average check or not enough customer guests that do understand or appreciate what you do, or very, in the case of Hong Kong, a very flooded market with lots of restaurants, lots of great idea, and difficult to turn up. So Hong Kong has its challenges and has its advantages. The first, I think the biggest advantage Hong Kong has is the people. The people in Hong Kong truly love alternatives, truly love to give you a chance. So it's actually quite easy to open something up and fill up the restaurant quite quickly, which may not be the case in some other countries. In Hong Kong, you open a restaurant, you almost granted that you are going to have people give you the benefit of the doubt and try you out and come and see what you're all about. So that's the greatest thing about it. The tough thing is that they will not give you a second chance. So if you don't get it right, quickly, then you're in trouble.
But what do they like? Because Hong Kong people, well, it's so many different nationalities, so many different people and culture. They're curious to discover new places. But then what would make it like, no, I won't give you another chance?
Sure. Well, that is a very easy answer. Hong Kong people, like most people in general, they like good food and good service.
Yeah.
But the extra sauce in Hong Kong is that they like good value for money, and they like that a lot. So if you give them good food, good service, and it is within the parameters of good value for money, you're in for success. If you give them good food, an adequate service, but they don't find a good value for money, it won't work, even though you give them good food. So all of this need to work together. And I think what we discover anyway with Pirata Group, giving them good value for money is the secret ingredient.
Yeah.
Now, I say value for money, I don't say cheap. There is a difference. They can be cheap and bad. You won't go anyway. It can be good and expensive. You might not go either. You might go once a year and then you never go again because it's just beyond the pockets. But if it's good food, good service, and good value for money, which are our holding column of who we are, then then the rest is easier. I don't say easy necessarily, but it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of related to another question I had about your staff. So if I'm not mistaken, you have 500 staff?
A little bit less, 428, something along those lines.
So, and you call them pirates?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not my choice.
So whose choice is that?
I don't know. The team at some point, decided to call themselves pirates. It wasn't a conscious choice of either Manuel or myself, and it just turned out that way, And I can give you maybe an interesting point of why a pirata.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, why pirata? Pirata. First and foremost, the pirata is the same in Italian and Spanish. It means the same thing. So both myself and Manuel being Spanish, we thought it was a cool bridge. Second part, and most importantly, we were both working for employers who we thought were very by the book, were very boring. Sorry, David. So we thought to ourselves, we wanna challenge the status quo. We wanna do things differently. We wanna do things, the pirate way, and it sort of stuck.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where Pirata. So to answer your question directly, it's not by choice. It just end up that way. The team decided one day we are pirates.
Yeah.
We believe in the same thing. We are pirates too. So okay.
But
fun by me.
And those pirates, they serve this excellent hospitality driven approach. And my question is, well, in Hong Kong now, there are many people who don't want to work in F&B anymore. That's my first question. Why?
Yep.
And secondly, maybe because of COVID, I don't know.
Yep.
And also, how do you retain your talents?
Okay.
And, not only retain your talents, but retain your excellent talent.
Sure. Again, I don't think it's endemic to Hong Kong, no wanting to work in restaurants. I think it's endemic, is a general direction that people have, around the world. I think most people don't really want to work in the industry, in the service industry necessarily. But I do know a lot of people who still believe in hospitality and they still want to do this job and they want to excel at this job. And the reason why is probably down to the fact that it works unsociable hours. The work is at unsociable hours. We work when other people rest. And it's a tough job. It's not an easy job. You're on your feet a lot. You deal with a lot of personalities. Sometimes not very pleasant.
Yeah.
And so it's not that simple. But there is a lot of people who still love this job, and we have a lot of pirates who are fantastic and are great at their job, and we love them to bits. We couldn't do this without them.
Yeah, I guess also it depends a lot of, on the place you're working, like the atmosphere there, because you really focus on this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was having a conversation earlier with one of my team. It's what is important for us very much is to make sure that people have a good time as well. There is nothing worse than to show up at work and being on the, worried about, where the next sack of shit is going to come from, You just want to be happy, satisfied, motivated, we all do. I do. I know I do. So I try to give a positive, welcoming atmosphere. Now, we're obviously not Disneyland, we're obviously a place of work, and, sometimes the hammer has to strike, but we try as much as possible to be fair and to be welcoming and to be, the cool place.
Yeah. And now more generally in Asia, Asia, I think, is the place in the world with the most restaurants.
Yes.
Also with more people.
Sure.
So this means also the place with the more food waste.
Food waste, okay.
Yes. And I'm bringing this up because it's a topic that is more and more, talked about, is discussed, and that more and more F&B businesses try to address, but it's kind of tricky and difficult. And I guess it's not just one person who can do something. It's more like a collective effort.
Sure.
Is it something you have on your mind or you think about? Is it something also you feel that in the industry businesses are starting to tackle?
Yes. Food waste is a tough one for a number of reasons. Number one is we try and approach what do you call it, company, associations, organization. They were trying to collect unwanted food, but for us, you see, the only real unwanted food is things that come back from buffets, or which we only have a couple nowadays, and on Sundays only. So we don't have a huge amount of waste, so-called waste, that is wholesome at the end of the day. Is either being used for something and therefore unusable for charity, so to speak, or it is things that we can reutilize on the day-to-day. The biggest factor also in food waste is cost. So it's something that we're actively looking constantly. This is our job at the end of the day, to make sure that we have a food cost that is within reason. Therefore, we try to minimize food waste, not just because it's not very environmentally friendly, but also because it's an added cost. So we try and balance it in this way.
Maybe it's the way to also put it to kind of sell this, concern. Because I talked to other, like, two entrepreneurs who act, for sustainability. And actually every time, the only thing that would make people do something is money, like it's a way of, acting, of tackling this problem.
Yes.
Like, for other businesses that might not be sensitive to this topic, I guess.
Well, I have another point of view to offer to this, is that what you're saying is absolutely true. But there is also another point of view. There is very little motivation for us to go to do anything or to say that we do anything sustainable, because you just attract a scrutiny that you don't need. So say, for example, a few years ago, and I tell you this because, I learned firsthand when I was working for a different company. I don't know if you recall, there was a big earthquake in Haiti. I organized a fundraiser, and we threw a party in one of the restaurants, and stupidly perhaps, with retrospect, but the intention were good. The intention was basically to devolve all the earnings from this party into the sustainability of into charity for Haiti. But we were very, very strongly criticized for using this as a marketing ploy, B, for making hidden money somehow, some more, and 3, for doing a party, while everyone else was suffering. So you see, from my point of view, that taught me a lesson. I thought to myself, if I want to be charitable, I'll be charitable in silence. So what we do, we're not going to tell you. Not because we don't believe in charity, we don't believe in sustainability, we don't believe in helping the next of kin, but we just don't believe in saying it. We do a lot of support of our team, because this is something that I believe charity should start at home, and we do a lot of we supply a lot of help to our own pirates who are in trouble for
Okay.
whatever reason, either to them or to the families. That's as far as I'm gonna talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as long.
Well, that's a good approach. That's maybe more genuine.
Sure, it's just one of those things. So yes, it's true that there are sort of financial motivation that perhaps we should have more of, but also sometimes the criticism that goes without not knowing fully the fact behind initiatives are tough to handle.
And regarding F&B in general, maybe not only in Hong Kong, well, it's up to you. What do you think the future holds for F&B? Well, it's a big question, but I'm talking about maybe trends you witnessed or maybe concept that really draws your attention, or plant-based food, or what do you think, either concept or type of food, what do you think we can keep an eye on for the future?
Sure. I guess the most immediate trend that is observable, that I've observed both in Singapore and over here in Hong Kong, is definitely a trend towards Korean food. Korean food was almost non-existent in Hong Kong in general. Anyway, I remember even up to 10 years ago, we had a couple of favorite Korean restaurants that we usually go to, but they were quite rare and far between. Ever since then, obviously, thanks to the K-pop and the Korean dramas and all that, the exposure to Korean food is a lot bigger. So there's a lot of Korean restaurants around, whether they are hot pot type restaurants or barbecue and so on. So there is a lot of that. That is very, very easily to observe. That is definitely happening. For the future is a good question. I tend to believe that restaurants are going to be smaller. Are going to be a lot smaller in general in the future. I think generally speaking, the age of big restaurants is just coming to an end. They're just too expensive to set up. Is a financial commitment that is too big. They are very difficult to manage. You need a lot of staff, which is usually quite short on coming.
Do you think this is also from the customer's side? Do you think they?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think because there is so much choice nowadays, it's just the idea of filling up a 200-seater, is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, consistently, not just Friday night. I'm saying consistently busy is. I think unless you have a rock solid concept and you have something that no one else has, which is in this day and age is very, very difficult to accomplish. I think restaurants in a way are going to be a little bit smaller. I think there will be a resurgence of multi-concept, such as we have here in 16, where we have a large space, but we have 4 different concepts under one roof. So you have the added benefit of large revenue, but with the benefit of being able to individually manage each with their strengths and weaknesses, and So that I think is a trend for the future. Another trend, maybe four hands kind of restaurants. We're talking about Korean. Somebody was suggesting to me the other day that I open a Korean Italian restaurant. That got me thinking, that
does that exist?
Yeah, there is. This is not the first time I hear about multi-concept. There was one. I nearly opened a Japanese, a Jap Italian restaurant.
Jap Italian.
A Jap Italian restaurant a few years ago. And then in the end, I thought it was a stupid idea and I should stop drinking. So I didn't do it. But so who knows what else?
Yeah, there was one. There was one in Wan Chai, but it's closed now.
Look, it's at the end of the day, good food is good food. That's the way I say it.
True.
If you don't do good food, you can be the most popular trend available around, you won't work.
So as we were talking about the future, what about the future of Pirata in the next, let's say, 5 years? Because I would like to know what would be your plans. Maybe it'll be international growth or franchise, or maybe focused on Hong Kong, on new cuisine concepts, new places.
Okay, good question. we are obviously based in Hong Kong. We were born and bred in Hong Kong. So I think Hong Kong is not done yet. I think we have a lot to say in Hong Kong still. Um, a lot of people put us out of the picture. Put Hong Kong at the end of his cycle. I think definitely Hong Kong is suffering right now. It's finding its feet again, and it's natural after 6 months, 8 months, whatever it was of protest, and 3+ years of COVID, with COVID restrictions, with travel restrictions. So we took a big hit. Food and beverage industry is suffering quite a bit, but we're not done yet. There is still a lot that we can do in Hong Kong as well. There is certain expansion plan that we have in Hong Kong, but obviously for the time being, the name of the game is survival. The name of the game is making sure that we are as efficient as possible. Right now is a time for what I call is game time. Is like Premier League right now. Is the time for professionals. There were a lot of amateurs that opened up in the last few years, and they tried their luck in the business, and they're finding it tough going. So right now is I call it, this is now a time that separates the men from the boys. So we're actually very charged up, and I personally love a challenge. I love what we're doing, and I think we're not done yet in Hong Kong. Internationally, of course, we think we have something to say. There are plans which I'm not ready to discuss yet, but yes, we are always, planning for something, for world domination.
Well, we'll be looking forward to that. Okay, so now before the last question,
Sure.
I have very quick question to ask you. So first question, a must-try restaurant in Hong Kong.
The seafood restaurant in Potoyo in Clearwater Bay. Love it.
An Asian chef you admire.
Tetsuya. Chef Tetsuya.
The dish of your childhood.
It's not really my childhood dish because I learned later, but definitely garlic, chili, and olive oil spaghetti. It's my favorite dish, my go-to. I make it when I'm sad. I make it when I'm happy. I make it when I'm hungry. I make it when I'm alone. I don't make it with anybody else because it's too spicy. I love it.
A food or ingredient you really don't like?
I'm not a great fan of interiors. My mom used to force me to eat liver, and I did. Yeah, I just don't like it. Liver, I like chicken gizzard, a heart, like yakitori kind of stuff. I don't have a problem with that.
Pasta or pizza?
Both. Why not?
You have to choose.
And then pasta.
Okay. And then now, fun fact question, so you have more time to think. How many different types of pasta are there?
In the world?
Yes.
How many you want? There are really, look, you turn it this way, it's called cavatelli. You turn it that way, it's called tiratubi. It's like, whatever, man, there's like so many different shapes and forms. And
there's a number, a specific number.
I don't believe it. Is there?
Yes.
Never heard that. Don't know.
How much would you say, roughly?
1,000?
350.
No way. We have like 300 in Pichi alone.
All right, fair enough. You did good.
350? I don't know.
Oh, cool. Okay, let's wrap up with the last question.
Sure.
So what would you say are the 2-3 elements to be a successful leader?
Oh, please, if you find out, let me know. I would love to know too. I'm not sure I'm a successful leader. All I can tell you is that what has seemed to work so far is determination. I mean, intelligence only take you so far, experience only take you so far, goodwill and, only take you so far. But one thing that if you have plenty of, the supply for everything else is determination. I don't think I'm the most intelligent guy. I don't think I'm the most experienced guy. I don't think I'm the most prepared kind of guy. My school ends at 14, so that's my schooling right there, up to 14. So everything else that came after came through by, a sheer, headlong determination. So I think if I had to point out the secret ingredient, which is not that secret, I guess, is that.
Yeah. It's fun to end on this because we started talking about determination when you told me about a time you remember when you started Pirata.
Sure.
And we're ending on this. So yeah.
Well, there is a common thread, isn't
Yes.
it? There's a reason why I said what I said.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much, Christian,
Pleasure.
for sharing. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for coming.